people are going to doubt you. I mean, when I opened this place for 3 months, from July to September, I was seeing patients for free. Yeah, because I needed people to walk in the door.
Right. Right.
I needed the phone to ring. When I found out I was pregnant with my daughter, it was unexpected. And the conversation was, we can't have this child. And I was like, why not? Because I wasn't a 13-year-old girl or a 12-year-old girl or even an 18-year-old girl. And so I just told myself, this is not a good excuse. It being inconvenient is not a good excuse. And there's no way that it says you can't be pregnant and be a nurse. So why not?
Hello, everybody. Welcome to episode 8 of the Dairy Mom podcast. My name is Diana Adair. I am the founder of the Dairy Mom. We inspire, educate, and empower mothers who may be struggling to reclaim their dreams or who may have temporarily set aside their ambitions due to the demands of motherhood. On the Dairy Mom podcast, we bring you powerful stories from audacious mothers around the world who defy societal expectations and harness their strength to juggle both roles of motherhood and the pursuit of their personal and professional ambitions successfully. Before we dive into today's conversation, I want to say thank you. Thank you to all of our new subscribers, and thank you to all who have been with us from the beginning. I appreciate you all very much. Today's episode is a part 2 of our 3-part series on single mom to CEO. We are honored to continue with our conversation with Chelsea Debrah, all the way from the United States of America. If you missed the previous episode, please check it out on episode 7. Chelsea is a single mom of a 2-year-old boy and an 8-year-old girl. She is a certified family nurse practitioner and owner and CEO of Orchid Wellness, a primary care and wellness clinic in Carrollton, Texas. She started her clinic to be able to provide compassionate and comprehensive care for all ages. Chelsea holds 2 bachelor's degrees and a Master of Science in Nursing degree, all from the United States of America. Her story is about staying the course no matter what life throws at you and doing your best to remain your own cheerleader to be able to change your corner of the world. If you're ready and inspired to continue with our conversation, please grab your pens and notebooks and join me as I speak to our special guest.
I'm one of the people that has nausea and vomiting throughout the 9 months, so I would raise up my hand. I'm like, I need to go vomit. And then I'll go vomit and I'll come back and finish my exam, But all of those things, what was the big picture? I wanted to be a nurse.
Right.
That was the big picture. I wanted to be a nurse. And, it didn't matter what. That was the big picture. And if those little steps were little steps that I had to take in order to be a nurse, then I would be a nurse. And I had to take the steps, and there's no choice. There's no point in bemoaning and giving up. And did I cry? So many days I did, but it didn't mean that I was gonna give up. It didn't mean that I was going to say, okay, I'm done. Because the big picture for that time was I wanted to be a nurse. Right. So it's just, what's the big picture? I mean, when I opened this place, somebody told me, have you thought that you've bitten off more than you can chew? Yeah.
And what's that supposed to mean?
And I'm like, it might seem like it's too much of a big bite for you,
but not for me.
Not for me.
Right.
Because I know what my big picture is.
Yeah.
So it's important for you to be your own cheerleader, because people are gonna doubt you. I mean, when I opened this place for 3 months, from July to September, I'll see patients for free. Yeah, because there's something called a credentialing process where you basically, like me as a nurse practitioner, I'm telling the insurance companies I want to be able to take your insurance in my clinic. So you go through this credentialing process. And when I was starting, I budgeted for a credentialing process that was going to take about 6 months. Okay. So I started my credentialing process in February. And I was expecting that in 6 months, about August, I would be fully credentialed. Well, I didn't get fully credentialed until July of this year, 2024.
And you have
Yeah.
started the process.
I started the process February of 2023.
That's more than a year.
Yes. So from July of 2023 to September 2023, I was seeing patients for free because I needed people to walk in the door.
Right.
I needed the phone to ring. And from July of 2023 to June of 2024, I was the only employee. I was front desk, medical assistant, janitor, reception, nurse practitioner. I mean, I was all of it.
How are you going to... Wait. Okay. Slow down for me. Chelsea, you oh my god. So you have a clinic, you opened your clinic, and you're waiting to be credentialed, and so because of that, like, you just have to wait, but you chose not to just wait, but keep the place going, because now I'm assuming, or it's actually the case, where you've rented the office space, lights are running, rental space, and this is the US. I know it costs a lot, like it's in the thousands to rent a space. How were you managing to keep the bills running when you were seeing patients for free for a couple of months? Oh my gosh.
It's just by the grace of God. That's because that was it. It's just by the grace of God. I mean, I had a part-time job that I would go to when I didn't have my kids. So I would go to that job. I mean, even though I was seeing patients for free, some of them were cash pay patients, so I would do that. Um, but yeah, I mean, it's just by the grace of God, because
Wait.
and I tell people this. I tell people that God works through people, right? God works through people. And when people are praying for healing, people are praying for mental sanity, people are praying for good health, God is going to work through a nurse practitioner, a doctor, a counselor, you know. And I strongly believe that I'm one of those vessels that God works through, you know. And I know that so far as God needs me for me to work on his people, for people to walk through this door, I'm never going to go hungry. I'm never going to want a place to lay my head. My children are never going to go hungry. And I am so convicted in that belief.
Okay.
Because some of the things that have happened to me in my life, I just know that God saved me for a purpose. And I'm not going to worry. Do I worry? Of course, I'm human.
Because you're human.
I worry about those things. I worry about it's the end of the month, the bills, invoices are coming up, and where am I going to get the money to pay some of these things? But God of the 11th hour,
oh my gosh,
he shows up for me all the time. All the time. And so I don't doubt him. I just say, I'm just going to do what I need to do. Okay. I need to get the education. I need to get the licensing. I need to get the legalities sorted out. He's going to handle the rest. So anytime somebody walks through my door, I give them the very best, and they leave a review. And every person that walks through my door, every person that I touch, these hands touch, I know that God has brought this person to me for me to heal them for whatever ailment that they walk through the door with. And I just have to avail myself in my hands and my brain and my personality and everything in this space to that healing, and let him handle the rest. So that's all I do.
I'm I'm blown away. I'm blown away because I mean, again, going back to the beginning when you were talking about your story, your marriage and everything. This you started a business like last year. You went through the divorce last year. Like it's everything is kind of
It's actually not final. It will be. I'm hoping I will be final at the end of this year. But yes.
okay, okay, but at least like the whole separation, like so everything is happening like around the same time when you're trying to be that woman who says, I don't want this, this is what I want and I'm going for it, this thing is not serving me, so I'm leaving it right here and going after what I know will serve me. And it doesn't mean everything is perfect yet, but I'm still going to trust the process. I'm going to trust God. I'm going to do my part and trust God to handle the rest.
Mm-hmm.
This is so powerful. This is so powerful, and I thank you for sharing this piece, because for a lot of us, mothers or women, sometimes having that mindset or the courage to leave a situation that doesn't really serve us. And it's not just about marriage. It could be like any relationship, it could be like even a job, it could be like
Mm-hmm.
anything, like knowing very well this doesn't serve me. But how to get the courage and trust that I am going to go, I know this thing doesn't serve me, and so I'm not going to stay, but I'm going to go after what I know I want, and I'm just going to trust the process. It doesn't mean you will not encounter challenges. It doesn't mean that, oh, everything is just going to, like, you'll be rosy, everything. Like, it's not, it means that you're going to have the challenges, but it's about you trusting the process and taking that bold step one day at a time, one day at a time, one day at a time. Like, it is so powerful. It is
Yes.
so powerful.
And investing in yourself,
And
right? Like
investing in
the other
yourself.
thing,
Okay.
like investing in yourself. Like a lot of times, us moms, like when we are going through the process, we forget that we are human.
Okay.
One of the things that I say to my patients is, you can't pour from an empty cup.
Right.
And as mothers, we are always pouring into our children, into our communities, into our the people around us, into our relationships. We are always pouring, and we forget to fill up ourselves.
Yeah.
And I'm very, very intentional about pouring into my cup, especially because, again, I see myself as a vessel, and in order for me to be this available and willing and able vessel, I have to pour into myself. Okay. I'm very, very intentional about my mental health. I stay in therapy. I make sure that I invest in my spirituality. I make sure that I invest in my exercising, being healthy, just invest in me, because I am somebody that's always pouring into people in my role as a mother, in my role as a nurse practitioner, in my role as an employer. I mean, I'm always pouring into people, and I can't do that if I'm empty, if I am at the bottom of the barrel. So it's important that I'm always pouring into myself. And as mothers, we don't invest in ourselves. I mean, when I am very intentional about when the kids and I pick up the kids from school
Yep.
and I bring them home, I say, Mommy needs an hour. And for an hour, I let them be on their own. And for an hour, I just sit and just chill. Okay. A lot of times, my 2-year-olds is just like, no, you are not doing this with me. But I'm intentional about attempting to do that. Okay, I wake up at 5:30 every morning so that I can exercise, have a little quiet time before the kids wake up.
Okay.
Again, that is pouring into myself. I am very intentional about
Intentional
that,
about that.
because, or even before I start work, I drop off the kids at school. I get home. I get to my office, and before I walk in the door, I sit in the car for 20, 30 minutes just to get my mind ready to start my day.
Okay.
I intentionally
Okay.
do these things
Okay.
because I need to pour into my cup.
Yeah.
But a lot of us moms, we don't do that. We don't do that. We are going, 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 forgetting that we're people too.
Mm-hmm.
And I tell my patients, be your own friend. If we are to ourselves what we are to other people, we will be so much better at doing this mom thing.
Yeah. Yeah.
We're not.
Yeah.
We
Yeah.
love to forget ourselves. And we don't serve any purpose if we keep forgetting ourselves. We don't.
And that's how come sometimes like you find a mom having given all of herself out, and she wakes up one day and then she feels like she's empty, she feels like she's drained. Then you start having all the feelings of oh, I shouldn't have become a mom, or my kids have taken away everything from me, or that, or maybe like every, and then you're feeling like not having fulfilled something purposeful for yourself. But it's about being intentional about pouring into your own self,
Yes.
and
Yes.
sticking to it like every single day.
Yes. Yes. And actually, when children see their parents, them, especially their mothers, because I mean, society is what it is, and mothers end up doing a lot more of the nurturing in the family life. When children see their parents being intentional about their own care, it makes them feel secure because it's like, okay, mom is taking care of herself, dad is taking care of himself, and children feel like I don't have to worry about mom or dad, because they're taking care of themselves.
Okay.
But as parents, we forget to do that. We forget to actually take care of ourselves and to let our children see that we are taking care of ourselves.
Yeah.
You know,
Yeah.
because I do yoga, and when my children see me do yoga, I mean, they come right on and they come in and they start stretching with me.
Oh, yeah.
Because it's an intentional thing that I do for myself. Or if we're in the car, a lot of times, in the car we're playing music, and the music is mainly for kids music. I mean, I find myself listening to Coco Melon, and I'm like, why am I listening to this? Like, there's no kid in this car right now. But there are days that I'm like, okay, we're not listening to anything in the car. Let's just focus on some silence,
Right.
and that's okay.
That's okay.
That's okay. I think we as moms, we need to give ourselves the permission to love ourselves. Okay, I say this. The Bible says, "Love your neighbor as yourself." The Bible did not say, "Love your neighbor more than yourself." But we are in the habit of loving our neighbors more than ourselves, not as ourselves.
Yes.
You know, and so I'm big on that. I'm big on investing in ourselves and knowing our boundaries
Like
so that we live within those.
those two things are like huge. Like you kind of like need a master class on on establishing boundaries. That's superb, because I had to learn how to set boundaries. And again, when I also started on my journey of trying to get myself back and all that, I knew like I had to learn how to say no. I had to learn, and I had to learn where to draw the line, right? Because, like you said, mental health is something that is very important. A lot of the times we don't even realize it. But when you have people in your lives that are taking away your peace, stealing your joy, like bumping into your space anyhow, it really disrupts like that emotional equilibrium that you're supposed to have, that peace that you're supposed to have. But then learning how to say no, or drawing the line, or knowing when to pack and go, it's something that we need a lot of mothers to like come to that realization and say no, this is not helping me, or this is, and the boundaries is not just like with a spouse. It could be with friends, could be like at work, colleagues, everywhere. And I'm so glad you take that very like very 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 seriously, and you are intentional about it, because you being a CEO, you're seeing so many patients. You can be seeing patients when you yourself, your mental health is not okay.
Yes.
And for you being that giver who actually wants to build connection with patients and ensure that you're giving them your time, you need to be whole as an individual so that you can give what they really like, they truly deserve from seeing you. This is so powerful, Chelsea. This is so powerful. Like I'm just like blown away. I want to come to motherhood itself. I know you have two kids. I want to dive a little bit into like what has been your biggest test as a mother, because now you're filling many shoes. You're filling the shoes of a CEO, like a family nurse practitioner, a mother, all that. With motherhood in particular, what has been like your biggest challenge or your biggest test?
I think it's teaching my children to be good people.
Okay.
My daughter is she's a very sensitive, intelligent little girl, and like I said, I see a lot of myself in her. And so one of my challenges was I didn't have boundaries, and I see that a lot in her where she doesn't know when to say no. For instance, like even if I cook something she doesn't like it, instead of saying I don't like this, she's gonna say, "Oh, mom, this is really great, but it's just not for me." That's what she would say. She's not gonna say I don't like it because she doesn't want to hurt your feelings.
Okay.
So she's just gonna say,
Okay.
"Oh, this is so great, mom. It's just not for me." And I struggle with letting her learn. It's okay to
To
say
say I don't want this or I don't like it.
it's okay to say that. And then sometimes she'll say it, and I'm like, "Why are you saying that to me?" you know. But for me, for, it's teaching them to learn their boundaries.
Yeah.
That's been my biggest challenge. And my son is like, I have no boundaries. I'm gonna say no to you even if I want to say yes. And I'm like, you've got to learn how to say yes sometimes. Um, so, and it's also being, every child, you are a different parent to every child. My daughter, as because she's so sensitive and she's so caring and all of that, um, being her parent is very, very different from being a parent to my son, who is this in your face, I'm gonna step over the boundary and walk over it and dance on it kind of little boy. And I want to climb everything. If it looks like it can be climbed, I'm definitely gonna climb. And letting him, explore that, and not trying to keep him in this bubble. Like he's a 2-year old, right? Like I don't go to restaurants with my kids because it will mean expecting my very, very active 2-year old to sit still for an extended period of time. And I just don't think it's fair that I take him to a place and expect him not to sit down. And I'm gonna be frustrated. He's gonna be frustrated. So let's just eat at home. Okay. Is he gonna be like that forever? He's not.
He's not. Yeah.
He's not. Eventually, as he grows a little older, he's going to get to a point where he's gonna sit down.
Yeah.
But right now, when he's 2 and he's a typical 2-year-old, let's just eat at home. Okay. So it's that knowing those boundaries, right? Like, and knowing, trying to be individual with my children.
Okay.
There are days that when my daughter is out of school and she gets out of school early, I'm like, okay, I'm gonna go pick her up, and she and I are gonna have some mommy and me time. Or I'll say, okay, we're not gonna do this. If we're gonna do this, it has to be appropriate so that your brother can take part, because otherwise, all the attention is gonna be on him, and you're not gonna have fun. And so I think my biggest challenge as a mom is just knowing how to balance, how to be the parent for each child.
Okay.
Because each child needs a different kind of mothering. And sometimes, like, in trying to keep one child alive, because one child is focused on trying to unalive himself, I forget the other child that's just really quiet and just kind of goes with the flow. And that's my biggest challenge, just trying to find a balance on that. And at the same time, being a business owner, you're a business owner 24/7. So just trying to, I had to physically create this boundary of I used to have like my office phone has an app that I could put on my cell phone,
Okay.
and I have to take it off my cell phone because like I just could not stop myself from working. And I said, okay, if I'm at home, I'm not going to be
Working.
doing this for the kids. So that's my boundary with that. So it's just trying to find the balance. And then some days I'm like, okay, I really need to get this done. So you guys get to watch TV whilst I get this done. And I'll get this done and then give myself, okay, I'm going to do this for an hour. And I'm going to put a hard stop on it and go and be mom. But it's just, that's the biggest challenge. It's just finding the balance of what each child needs at what time.
Okay.
And living within those expectations that I give myself, and also giving myself the permission to change my mind. That if you know, sometimes this child that is supposedly sweet and everything needs a little bit of tough mom, and I'm gonna give that, and that's what needs to happen. Or
Right.
this child that's like, I want to climb everything, I can climb with him. That's okay, but giving myself the permission to it, I don't have to be strict about it.
Right. I was going to come to the point where I would ask you to tell us how you juggle the roles, but I think you've touched on that already. It's about knowing when to say no, and if you have to do parenting, you go to work and this is the time for parenting. Sorry, you go to work and this is the time for work. The kids are in school.
Mm-hmm.
When you go home, you know you have to put a stop to the phone ringing, so you don't allow the phone to ring. Otherwise you keep working, because I know when you own a business, or when you're starting up a business, you are constantly on the go. Like if you don't take it every single day and then you're sleeping late and all that, I know this because I've experienced this. But knowing when to, put a hard stop on something, and consciously paying attention to the kids, because they need you. You also don't want to become that mom that is always like working and not paying attention to the kids. Okay,
Mm-hmm.
so but yeah, but then when it becomes very necessary, you have to come in a bit and then try to
Yes,
more like
adjust.
more
Yes,
like
yes. Give yourself the permission to
give
adjust.
yourself
Yes.
the permission to adjust. What has been your biggest testimony in life?
Um, I think my biggest testimony has been, I get my testimonies from my tests, right? Like
Right.
I have had a few tests. I've had the fire, that was a big one.
Yeah.
School, that was a big one. Marriage, that was a big one. Even my pregnancies, those were big ones. It's that setting up my business, those were big ones too. Um,
Do you wanna touch a little bit on the pregnancy? But I'm curious.
um, so when I found out I was pregnant with my daughter, it was unexpected, and the conversation was, we can't have this child, and I was like, why not? And I decided that I didn't have, if when I found out I was pregnant with my daughter, I was 26.
Okay.
Um, I was just in my last semester of nursing school, just about to finish up nursing school. I was driving from Louisiana to Texas, Texas to Louisiana, the 4-hour drive. And I was like, I don't have an excuse for not having this child.
Because you're almost
Okay.
done with school.
I'm almost done with school. And I mean, nursing is the kind of field I actually had. I was already interviewing for jobs. I had a few things jobs in line, possibilities, and so I didn't feel like I had an excuse. I wasn't a 13-year-old girl or a 12-year-old girl or even an 18-year-old girl. Um, and I am very, very much pro-choice. But
Right.
at the same time, again, pro-choice meaning I had the freedom to make that choice. And I just didn't feel like it was a choice I needed to make at the time.
Okay.
Uh, and so I just told myself, that's not, this is not a good excuse.
Mm-hmm.
It being inconvenient is not a good excuse,
Mm-hmm.
because I was about to be done with school. I hadn't started my career in nursing. and there's no way that it says you can't be pregnant and be a nurse. So why not?
Why not? Wow, that is a very powerful statement to make. That means you are ready to face any challenge no matter what, to be able to defend and protect your decision. It means you are courageous and resilient, and that is exactly who Chelsea is. I really hope you're learning something from her story. We are not ending here. We'll bring you a part 3 of her story in episode 9, and that will be the wrap up of our conversation with Chelsea. So be sure not to miss it. I want to thank you for watching all the way up until this point. If you are yet to subscribe to our YouTube channel, please do so by hitting the subscribe button. Also, please like this video and share. Tell a friend to tell a friend about the Dairy Mom podcast. If you're yet to follow us on other social media platforms, please do so. We are on Facebook, TikTok, and LinkedIn at the Dairy Mom. And on Instagram, we are _the Dairy Mom. If you want to follow Chelsea, her IG handle is at Orchid Wellness, and her website is myorchidwellness.com, www.myorchidwellness.com, and I'm going to put all of that in the description of this video. I want to thank you all for staying with us up until this point. And before I wrap up my video, there's always one question that I ask. What is your hashtag, the Dairy Mom story? I know you have a story to tell. What is your hashtag, the Dairy Mom story? Join me and let's do this together. My name is Diana Adair, and I am the Dairy Mom.